My LCS was having a sale, so I went looking for keys. Did I find any? Stay tuned to find out. Welcome back, comic book fans. It's Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and in today's episode, I go to one of my favorite LCSs here in the Baltimore area, Collector's Corner up in Parkville, Maryland. This is a shop that I have featured on this channel multiple times at this point. In fact, they were part of one of my recent videos doing a comic book haul. They had had a big sale, and I went up and found some comic books. In fact, I didn't find a lot because it had already been pillaged by some local whatnotters, but they ended up having another sale right before Thanksgiving. So I do apologize for the lateness of this video getting this out, but that's just the way things are. I put out so many videos that I had to push this one back a little bit. But I went up there. It was 2 days before Thanksgiving. They had a big 50% off sale, every one of their back issues, and that included all of the books. So let me explain. This shop actually puts price stickers with dates on there. And a lot of times they run a lot of sales where not every comic book is on sale. If anything is dated with the current month, it may not be on sale. But that wasn't the case with this sale. A big 50% off sale, and that included every back issue. And following their social media, I knew they'd gotten some new books in, including a lot of John Byrne X-Men that I really wanted to take a look at. Now, I didn't go up there initially as early as I would have liked, and I knew there was a chance that a lot of things were going to be missing, just like the previous sale that I just talked about. But it didn't really matter. I figured they'd have some things up there, and we'd go through and see if I could find anything. The last sale, I only walked away with one book, but this sale, I was wondering if I was going to find anything at all as well, but I did. And of course, I'm looking for keys that are in great condition, ones that I can keep in the PC, and ones that I can clean and press, send in the CGC, get those really good grades, hopefully those 9.8s in a lot of cases, and be able to flip that book to make some profit to help pay for this hobby. And that's what I went into with the mindset. I was very open. One, I was going to look at the John Byrne X-Men that were if any were available, and then I was going to look for anything else. So I went up, and I was probably about a half hour after the store had opened. I was in there talking with the owner, and he ended up showing me the case that had most of the X-Men books in there, and I ended up passing on every one of them because you guys, if you follow the channel for any time at all, you know that I am trying to complete a John Byrne run of X-Men that are all going to be graded 9.6 or better. And I am within a few books of finishing that run, but none of these books were going to meet that criteria. And so I ended up passing on all of those. So I started going through the rest of the books in the case and all the books else that they had there. And they did have some new collections in. So I started going through things, and lo and behold, I did find a few things. Not maybe the biggest things, but I did find one that was in really great condition that was in the case, and that will be the last book of the day. But let's just get right into this, and I will show you what I picked up. So they had a small run of Neil Gaiman's The Sandman there, and these were were technically keys. They were all early issues, but they do have some value. So let me show you what I picked up. I ended up with Sandman #2, and this right here is really good. Actually, all of these are in really good shape. I wouldn't have picked it up. In fact, I passed on one that definitely had a nasty little spine tick. And if you guys are familiar with this artwork right here, these covers are very dark. The spine ticks will show up very quickly and easily. And I ended up picking up a few of these, but I did pass on some of them as well. But I picked up issue #2, and normally I wouldn't pick up something like this. This is not one of my favorite books or anything, but I do look at books for investment. And so with a quick little search, we're using Go Collect mostly, and then a little bit of eBay, but mostly Go Collect in this situation because I'm doing it quickly to see what a 9.8 and a 9.6 would possibly go for. 9.6s go for about $306, maybe $330. Those are recent sales. 9.6s, on the other hand, dropped down. A recent sale was as low as $29. Case cost Another sale was $81. So what that tells me, this has some potential as a 9.8 and would have to go into a 9.8 pre-screen just to be sure, because I definitely don't want to get this as a 9.6. But that 9.8's got a pretty good value to it. I also picked up issue number 3. Now this one's, again, not a key and a lot less valuable than number 2. 9.8s go for anywhere from $130 to $123 recently. 9.6s do a little bit better. They go from $58 to $80. And again, these are recent sales. These aren't definitive prices. These are prices that were paid recently. And when I say recently, I'm talking about within the last month to 3 months. I try not to give you prices on this channel that go back any older than books from this year, sales from this year. And if I do go back to an older price, it's because there aren't a lot of sales, and I do make mention of that. I will say this came from such and such date in 2023, and if, God forbid, it's even older, maybe some of these Silver Age books, sometimes I'll give it to you, and there may not be a sale for 5 years, and I'll have to go back to an old price. Not that that means a lot these days, but that's the most current sale and the most current information. But when I give you prices, those are recent sales, and in most cases, they are sales within the last month. And the last Sandman I picked up was issue number 5, and this one, I probably didn't need to pick this one up. This one only goes for about $78 to $52 as a 9.8. 9.6 has dropped down to $60 to $55, give or take. But honestly, I also didn't mind working on a little bit of run of this as well. I may keep these raw, and I may sell them to somebody. I may put them on in my eBay store or something like that, but I will take a look at them all to make sure that the conditions are worthy of sending in. Otherwise, I may end up reselling them at some point. All right, so as I said, the last book of the day is the last book, was the best book of the day. And I will show that one to you at the very end. It is the last book that I picked up out of the case. But at this point, starting with these Sandman books, I had started going through the bins. And I did find some things, but we're not finding giant keys at this point. There wasn't anything really jumping out at me. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to work on other projects. And you guys know that I love to get comics signed. Whether I get them signed and graded or just signed, I love getting things to meet the artists and get an autograph from them. It's my favorite thing in the hobby. And I was able to find a couple of books in their DC section. You've got Detective Comics number 1000, the Michael Cho cover right here. And this is a fantastic throwback cover right there. And I wish I had picked up this print at the Baltimore Comic Con this year. He did have prints of this cover. And what's funny was I didn't realize that art was from this book, or I might have picked it up. I don't think it had the trade dress on the poster. That's one of the reasons I didn't pick it up. But not only did they have this great book to get signed, right next to it, they had Action Comics 1000, another beautiful Michael Cho cover. Those will be saved for a future con because he shows up at Heroes Con and Baltimore Comic Con, and I look forward to seeing Michael Cho again just for this, just to get these signed. All right, let's put these down. And as I said, we're not finding great keys at this point. So I would say that the Sandmans were okay. They're not necessarily keys, though. And neither is the next one here. But I wanted to get it because, again, I'm working on a project. I would love to get the first 3 issues of this signed by the artist, actually the husband and wife artist team of Terry and Rachel Dotson. And we've got Star Wars Princess Leia number 1. What was funny was I actually started looking for this book thinking, because I've got issues 2 and 3, and I love all 3 of these covers, but when I picked up the other 2, I passed on issue number 1 because it had some really major defects whenever I picked that up last year. But I actually managed to find a good copy of this. So now I've got 3 really good Princess Leia Star Wars books to get signed by Terry Dotson and Rachel Dotson as well. So that was pretty cool. Again, not a key, but this is a funsy. I'll never get these graded. I don't think it's going to be worth that much. We'll see. I mean, signed, I've literally, a signed version of this literally went for $57, $62. I definitely won't get it signed. But let me backtrack just a little, because I talk about investing in comics and wanting to get things signed, but let's go right back to the Action Comics here. I forgot to give you some price breakdowns on this right here. This right here, 9.8, signed by Michael Cho. And that's what I said. Look for keys, and sometimes you can do some things to really pump up the value in this. 9.8 on this, unsigned, $130, $123. That's not bad, but honestly, guys, these days, with the way the market's going, I'm probably not going to send any book in to CGC if it has a value of less than $150. It's just not going to be worth the time in most cases. But adding signatures to a book like this can add a lot of value to it. And a 9.8 signed by Michael Cho has recently gone for $175 and $180. So not a key, but definitely worth getting signed and possibly getting graded. The same goes for the Detective Comics. I'm sorry I skipped right over that part of it, but 9.8 unsigned, $61. Signed, $147, although one did recently go for $87, so that one I've got to be a little bit more sure of, but nonetheless, I will get both of those graded, or excuse me, both of those signed. As for the Princess Leia, I probably will just get that signed and hold on to it as part of my PC. All right, so I did find some keys, and this is a key that has really dropped in value. Now, this is not the first print, but I had never picked up the second print of Strange Academy #1. And this doesn't have any value at all, graded 9.8. $23. I mean, it's worth less than the cost of getting it graded practically. But signed by Scotty Young, 9.8 of this was $250. The only issue is the last time that this sold with a Scotty Young signature at 9.8 was in 2022. And we all know that that's during the boom. So I can't really take that for face value. But I did get that, and I did pick up issue #1, the third printing as well. And at some point, I will probably get Scotty Young to sign these as well. He was down at Heroes Con earlier this year. I'm hoping to go this year, or I should say next year. By the time this video comes out, it's already going to be 2025, guys. It tells you how long I've been doing this video, how long it's been in the can. But I will hopefully go down to Heroes this year, and Scotty Young will make it a reappearance, and I hope to get these signed. But neither one of these are going to probably go into CGC, to be quite honest. I've got a million other things that need to go into CGC before these. But 9.8 third print, actually $250, again, 2022. So who knows what's going on? That just tells me there's not a lot of these getting signed and graded at this point. All right. This is a book that probably needed to be signed by Simon Beasley and graded and just to be held on to, because you're going to get the movie coming out. You're going to get Lobo at some point. Jason Momoa, you're going to get it. This is Lobo's back, #1. And this is the second little mini series that came out. It's still a #1 in the series. Beautiful artwork. And 9.8's unsigned, 8.5 or 8.5, $85, $76. Signed by Simon Beasley, 9.8s go for $180 down to maybe $175. So that right there is one of these. If I see Simon Beasley, hopefully he'll be back at Heroes. I know he was last year. I hope he's back and I can get this signed before any news breaks from DCU and James Gunn. We'll see about that one. Not a huge key, but again, adding value when you can get things signed like this. Plus, this is going to be pretty hot when Jason Momoa gets announced that they're going to be doing the Lobo thing. So we'll see about that. This was not a key, but it is a really good book. And I've gotten one of these signed by Bill Willingham. I will get this one signed the next time I see him. It is Elementals #1. This is his creation from Comico, or Comico as I used to call it back in the day. This is issue #1. It's got a beautiful signing area right there, and his ego will allow him to sign really big, I'm pretty sure, if I remember that right. So I'm looking forward to getting this signed, but this actually does have a little bit of value. I say it's not a key, but it does have some value. 9.8's $158 up to 160. Both of those sales are back in 2023 though. 9.8 signed by Willingham, $180. Again, that is an old sale, 2020. You've got to be a pretty big fan of this book. This is pretty much of a niche art audience, and we'll see. Personally, I will probably just get it signed and hold on to it. I don't know if I'll actually get that graded or not. I also picked up this. This is Captain Victory #1. It's a book during that stage of when I really hated Kirby artwork. I've gone back to appreciate some of this. I really didn't appreciate a lot of Kirby's artwork during the 70s and early 80s. Honestly, I think if he'd had a better inker, if Joe Sennett had been doing his inking, maybe it would have been better. But I'd never had this book, but it was recently spotlighted on Bronze and Modern Gods on that channel, and I saw this and I'm like, oh, this is really nice shape. Let's pick it up. I wonder if it has any value. I mean, these books were all 50% off, and the books weren't expensive to begin with. I mean, this book right here, most of these books were $5 to $10 to $15. So I wasn't spending a lot to begin with. And it's really nice shape, but surprisingly, 9.8's unsigned, obviously unsigned at this point, and never going to be signed. Go from anywhere from $80 to $125. Again, I got this for the PC, not to send in. Again, I'm not sending in books for the most part that are going to be worth or being sold for currently under $150. So that's kind of my marker right now. I'm going to try not to go under that Mendoza line. All right, guys, I know I've rambled here a little bit and going over prices and things like that. And you're sitting here going, at the intro, Russ, you said you went searching for keys. Well, maybe some of these were very minor keys, nothing major or anything. But this book right here is a big key. It is the origin of one of the best X-Men movies that was ever made. It was the inspiration for it. But this book right here is fantastic, and this book is in fantastic shape. I ended up picking up the X-Men graphic novel, Marvel graphic novel #5. This is the famous God Loves, Man Kills book right here. Beautiful artwork. Brent Anderson, you've got Claremont, of course, writing this. And again, the inspiration for X-Men #2. And just absolutely a fantastic book. And I think I do have this on the PC, buried somewhere in the PC, in the collection. I know I've got this, but it was when it came out. And I know that book has definitely not been taken care of as well as it probably should have. But this book right here was in their case at Collector's Corner, and it looks fantastic. And just absolutely sharp corners. First print, there is a little bit of rub in a couple little spots there, but man, what a beautiful copy. And whether I'm going to get this graded or not doesn't really matter. I love having these near mint copies in my PC. What a great book. This book right here, though, grades out. God forbid I can get a 9.8. Goes from 235 up to 289. A very desirable book. 9.6s still have some value at 100 and 126. So again, anything I get graded today, guys, for the most part, would have to go into a pre-screen, including this one, although I may drop that down to a 9.6. But the rest of them, honestly, most of them need to have that 9.8 pre-screen to have any real significant value. And in a couple cases, as I said, they need to have signatures to add that extra bonus oomph to it. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, definitely hit that like, slap the subscribe, and click on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the episodes that I put out each and every week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 3 p.m. And definitely leave me a comment in the comment section below. Let me know about the books that I picked up today. What do you think about these books and the approach that I'm taking with these books? Even though they're not really keys for the most part, they definitely still have some value, whether I keep them in my PC or whether I turn them around to be able to sell to pay for the hobby. You guys, let me know by leaving me a comment in the comment section below. And guys, that is it. Thank you for watching today. I will see you for the next episode. And remember, every comic has a story.